Hello and welcome to Single-Handed Studio. My name is AJ Brockman, and today we're going to do a quick video tutorial on my process and techniques on my most recent piece, Dog Beach. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, we're going to be using Corel Painter 10 and Adobe Photoshop CS5. We're going to switch back and forth between the two programs. This is all digital painting. Some techniques that I've developed over time and some others that I picked up through other creatives in the same field. So I hope you guys dig it. And again, everything is done with a built-in mouse pad that I use with my finger that you would have in any traditional laptop. I'm unable to hold a Wacom pen for those of you that know my story. If not, go ahead and check it out at www.singlehandedstudio.com. So yeah, I'm physically unable to hold the Wacom tablet pen, so my process is a little more time consuming and in depth, but the overall gist of it is the same. So let's go ahead and get started. First I'm going to kind of explain my brush selection. Again, we're in Corel Painter 10. I stick to the artist brushes. I really like the Sargent brush and the Impressionist brush. I use the Sargent brush in the beginning to get large blocks of color. It's really good about laying down the overall values. And again, it helps you out. It does a lot for you by blending the colors. You get the different color delineations without having to go back to the color picker and get a new color every single time. So I use that for the big areas, and then I use the Impressionist brush to get into the really small areas and do my detail work. So again, you click and drag, and it does a good job of kind of helping you out by giving you some light and dark values in your color, and that's how I get all my detail work in, and really eyes and stuff like that, hands. So that's a quick overview of the brushes, and now we're going to get started on the overall piece. So like I said, we start with the Sargent brush, and this is a time lapse of just me blocking in some color, the horizon line, maybe where I want the beach at, some shrubs on the right hand side, again the waves and water, and this is just a quick beginning step of how I start it, just kind of getting the layout. And alright, so that turns into this after about an hour or two, and again, this is time lapse of my process, all with the Sargent brush. I slowly use smaller and smaller brushes, or brush size, to get the detail that I want. And it's similar to the auto painting function in Corel, for those of you who know, but I do this all by hand. I feel like the auto paint doesn't give you the control that I want. So I just, like I said, continue adding color, then I'll stop at that point, and then I'll save it and then continue on with the Impressionist brush that gives me the more detail that I explained earlier. And again, I just keep doing. I'll zoom in, refer back to some reference shots, and you kind of get the idea of the overall composition. It's going to be a beach with some palm trees and the sun setting. So that's that, and next is going to be the layout stage. So I'll get my rough, rendition in Photoshop, and I'll just use a big brush to kind of plan out how I want the scene to unfold. I'm thinking maybe two dogs, hence the name of the piece, Dog Beach, and maybe a couple walking down the beach. So again, this step is strictly for layout, just so I kind of have an idea of what I need to paint in Corel before I do it. So that's kind of the two dogs there, and we're going to have a man and a woman walking down the beach, husband and wife. Definitely tell a story with your pieces, and so this kind of gives me an idea, and I can go from there and start on the couple back in Corel. Alright, so we're back in Corel, and just like before, I'm going to start blocking in colors with my Sargent brush. This is the beginning steps. This is, again, time-lapsed over many hours of me doing my thing. and I'll refer back and forth to a reference on the side, different angles of the figure, getting the head right, getting the hands right. I spend more time on the head and the hands because that's really the hardest part to get right. So, and I feel if you do that, that the audience has a better connection with your piece. If you get facial features and proportions really spot on, then it just relates and conveys your message a lot better. And so I continue to just kind of block in colors, and then I'll save it at a point here, and then move on to the impressionist brush to really get the fine detail. Again, here I'm starting with the impressionist brush. I do this so that I can overlay the two in Photoshop in the end stages to get kind of a focus effect, much like a photograph would be, where you can kind of blur the edges but still have some really fine detail in there as well. And I really think that boosts the realism of the whole piece, and that's one technique that I find that I do that not a lot of other people do. So that's that, and next we're gonna get started on the dogs. Again, I paint everything separately and then composite it all in Photoshop. So here's the beginning stages of the dogs. It's going to be two kind of golden retrievers walking in the waves or the shore break of the beach. So I just get the colors right, and again, I don't really need to focus too much on color correction because I can take care of all that in Photoshop. So right now we're really only focused on form and the shape of each dog, getting the proportions right, getting the shore break kind of under their feet where I can add more detail later on in Photoshop or whatever. So again, you can kind of start to see the form. The dog on the left is kind of looking off to the horizon, and the dog on the right is going to have his head up more. I'll do a little pop of color in their collars. Again, just the attention to detail is super important, I feel. So I'll save it here and then continue on with the impressionist brush, where I can really get in there and get some good detail, as you can see here. So that's it in Corel. Now we're going to go over and start in Photoshop. Alright, so now we're in Photoshop, and this is where all the magic happens. This is my favorite part of the whole process, where you really get to see the overall piece come to life, and it's definitely the most time-consuming step, believe it or not, but it's the most fun as well. So, alright, I have everything. Let me bring you up to speed on where we're at right now with this screenshot. I've got the background in, added an overlay to the sun to kind of get it to pop a little more like it's kind of setting in the distance. Added some more detail in the waves, made them look more like they were breaking rather than flat. And with the sand here, I did something a little different than I usually do. I ended up having to use a actual texture overlay. Usually I do it by hand, but because the sand grains are so fine, it really ended up looking flat in Corel. So I ended up using, like I said, a texture overlay to really get the delineation of the light, and it really added to the whole piece. So sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. If it makes the piece look better, do whatever you want. So whatever. That's my feeling. And alright, so let's go ahead and start to show you the different layers. I always, like I said, use different overlays like color burn, multiply, linear light, vivid light, hard light, color saturation. I pretty much paint in the color that I want, and then literally go through each overlay option and see what looks best. And I'll just adjust the opacity up or down if I think it's not enough, too much. Again, it's really based on what you feel looks right. I don't do it off the top of my head. I do it more on what I think looks right at that moment. So again, that's what I'm doing now, kind of building an atmosphere. I add a vignette to everything. That's kind of my technique. I also use a grain texture that a lot of other artists use to to kind of make your piece look more like it's been hand painted. Again, I'm starting to build the atmosphere here, doing different overlays, blue and orange, and all of my pieces kind of have an old school look to them, like an aged photograph, and that's just, again, one of my signature things. So that's kind of what I'm building here, kind of an old 70s photo that's kind of water damage, I guess, or age damage, over burned or over dodged. But anyway, so keep building it, and let's see what's next here. So we're going to add some light rays in the sun that really makes it pop off. It's hard to see in the screencast, but they're there. It's like some faint light rays coming at you. Again, darkening up the foreground so you can see where the light's coming from a little better. And then here I'm going to start darkening up the right hand side where the shrubs are. They looked a little flat, the palm trees weren't really standing out, so just adding in more shadow. And now we're going to start on the couple. As you can see there's two different like layers that I use. One is the large brush stroke of the Sargent brush, and the other is the more fine detail that I get with the Impressionist brush. And the two on top of each other kind of give it a focusing effect, like I said earlier, almost like an actual photograph, where the edges might be a little more blurry and where the camera's focused is a lot more crisp. So again, that's one of my techniques that I kind of developed over time. And so I'm going to start, darkening up the shadows under their feet, kind of ground them a little more, adding overlays so where the light is reflecting off their shirt and pants and dress, and darkening up the sky some more. It was just not dark enough for me. Kind of giving that, the sunset look a little more. And now we're going to start adding the highlights in the trees. When the sun is this bright, you get some really hot spots in the trees. So I'm adding that to the palm fronds now, so it really looks like it's supposed to be there. Again, really in-depth color and light. And now, last but not least, we're going to add in the dogs. Again, the whole point of this piece, Dog Beach. So we're going to add the two dogs, and I've zoomed in here a little to make it easier for you guys to see. So I added some white already with the shore break, and now we're just kind of going to layer in each of the layers I've already done. So again, we're going to start with kind of a real, opacified brush stroke of the large Sargent brush, is what you have there, and then I'll go ahead and overlay the more detailed, and you're going to see it really pop. So here's that. Yep, there you go, it pops. So that's that, and again, adding some reflection in the shore break, some shadowing, because again, that light is so bright, and darkening up the shore break underneath to give it some more depth. And that's it. This is the final rendition. Last frame here. Hope you guys dig it. This is Dog Beach, my newest piece. It is available for purchase down below. If you had any questions, feel free to email me. That's going to be aj@singlehandedstudio.com. Check out my website, www.singlehandedstudio.com. Some shameless self-promotion here. You can also find me on Facebook, Behance, DeviantArt. I'm all over the place. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm definitely going to try and do some more. Give me some feedback in the comments below, and I'll try to make it better for you guys. Hope you learned a thing or two, and I appreciate you hanging out with me for the last 15 minutes. So, alright, take it easy, and I'll catch you guys next time.